Hey everybody, welcome back to the War at Home, FW22's very own podcast, episode 4. So really excited, still got 8 episodes to go. Today we have a special guest. Obviously it's once again somebody that I know, but more importantly, this is somebody that Tyler's also a fan of.
Huge fangirl. No offense. Yeah.
I won't introduce this gentleman, but just know this gentleman has been serving our community since 2018. Is definitely a pillar in our community and somebody that I look up to. So Jared White, founder, Tyler Egbert, founder, and today our special guest. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. My name is Joe Wasson. I'm the Allen County Veteran Service Officer. Had the pleasure of being in this role since January of 2018. So it's been a fantastic ride so far.
Yeah, huge support of yours. And it's crazy. You've obviously VSO has probably been around a lot longer than 2018. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but a lot of people don't know about it. I know I didn't, and I was running a nonprofit, and it wasn't until somebody was like, just go here, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And boy, are you full of resources. And what's crazy is we were almost unknowingly fighting against each other because a lot of what we were doing, you guys do. And instead of us trying to raise money to do those, it's like, have you met your local VSO? Have you... And so can you talk about a little bit about the stuff that you guys do there?
Sure. To kind of piggyback on your experience with the VSO office, I think it was 2015. I was just trying to record my DD-214 at the recorder's office. That was my only objective. And I think when service members separate from the military, that's kind of one of the action items that we need to do. That was 5 years after I got out of active duty that I did this, so it took me a while. But I stumbled in the VSO office, and I had a conversation with, at the time, George Jarbo, who was the VSO for 20 plus years here in Allen County. And he really kind of, recorded my DD-214, which is one of the benefits that we have, but also shared about what this position was. And fast forward about 3 years, I got a call, and it was from George. He said, I think you're going to be the right person for this position. I had no really idea what this office did. Jumping in with 2 feet, I understood that this position holds a lot of weight in the community by being able to provide those resources to those service members, to the family members, and to the community in general. And so what we get to do is we get to be the point person and for that service member or that family member to kind of learn about their benefits and to go through those processes of possibly filing for a disability claim, helping them with education, you name it, anything veteran related, we want to be the tip of the spear. And I think what happens is service members may go to federal or state and it kind of trickles back down to the county. And so we're kind of right back at it and just trying to support and be a resource for anybody that walks in the office or gives us a call.
I will say one of the things that I admire about you is you changed the way I looked at disability. So when I got out, like my sergeant or staff sergeant wouldn't even sign my EAS paperwork until I went to the VA. I didn't know what the VA was. And they did their quick scans, and whatever disability rating I got, that's what it was. Never went back. And I'm sure a lot of veterans come your way and they do the same thing. They feel guilty and they don't want it. But what you said to me, I'll never forget. I might not remember it word for word, but basically you said, but you getting disability or increasing your disability, where are you going to spend that money? Here in your community. And that's what you want. You want our community to flourish. So instead of feeling guilty that you're getting money, think about you're helping provide for your community. You're investing into it. And I had never thought of it that way, but it's true. I don't ever get my disability and go somewhere else and spend it. I put it right back into the community. And obviously Tyler and I and you, we love our community. That's why, these are our grassroots. This is where our nonprofit is. But it really is a good way for a veteran to look at it is you're investing into your community, community that you fought for. So I really appreciate that. It really just changed my whole perspective. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but I really sent a lot of people your way. And that's what you're here for. So,
and where that came into my life was the previous director at the Northern Indiana healthcare system, Director Hirschman. He shared with me, and he shared is that every time that I get a service member enrolled in the VA healthcare system here, now I can turn to my bosses and say, I need more resources. I got more Joes and Janes in my system, then I need more resources. Can you help me? And if we're not having those individuals, we're not having those numbers, then our community may not be we can't get better.
Yeah.
And so that's something I can share with those service members that may not think that it's for them. And I think of it as, if I can go in there and utilize the VA healthcare system, that is going to give the service member next to me a better opportunity that needs it much more than you and I, right?
Yeah.
And so it's all about the others, and we're trying to give back and trying to help out that battle buddy. Here's a way to help out that battle buddy, is just taking care of yourself. And I think that goes all the way down to, if you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of your loved ones. You're taking care of your the little rugrats at the house, or the Mrs. or the Mr. that's at the house. I mean, you're taking care of yourself, which encompass takes care of all. So I think it's a full, good, roundabout way to give back as a service member.
Nice.
I got a bunch of questions about this, but I kind of want to table them because we kind of got out of order here.
Sure.
So, Joe, would you mind sharing a little bit about where you're from, how you grew up, what made you decide to go into the military, kind of starting them back at the beginning to got you to where you are now?
That's great. Thank you. Graduated from Bishop Luers in 2002. So I was a Fort Wayne resident, lived on the south side my whole life. I still call the south side of Fort Wayne home. Graduated from Bishop Luers in 2002. I joined the active duty Army in 2003 as a 19 Delta Cavalry Scout. Loved it. I mean, basic training for me, drill sergeants were like a father figure in a way. I looked at, they weren't going to hurt me. They're only going to build me up. And I really enjoyed basic. I really enjoyed being on active duty. It taught me a lot. I grew up fast. My father was in the military. My grandfather was in the military. So it was a pretty easy. I'll say that I tried to school first. I mean, I went to college and I thought it was for me right after high school, but it wasn't. And it was okay. And I thought, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do when I grow up? And the military was there. Served active duty for 3 years. 2006, I got out, came back home, went back to being a civilian and working that life. In 2009, I was informed by the inactive ready reserve that I'm being called back to active duty. And 2009, got called back up for about 11 months and had a deployment to Iraq with the 155 CAB out of Mississippi National Guard. Got attached to their infantry battalion and had a 11-month deployment with them. Came back 2010 and kind of worked in the non-for-profit world. I went back to school. I kind of went to school for 5 years straight after I got back from deployment. And for me, it was utilize that education benefit that I was entitled to, so I can then turn to my kiddos and say, hey, I think it's maybe we can utilize some education benefit for you too. I didn't want to be a hypocrite in that. I want to kind of speak from experience on that aspect. Going back, 2009, I was getting ready for deployment. And me and my battle buddy here in town, who joined the Army around the same time, we said, what are we going to do? We're Joes and we want to say bye to each other. And how are we going to do that? I like to organize. I like to event plan in back in my day. So the birth of Le Tour de Fort was created. And in 2009, I created Le Tour de Fort. About 15 of us buddies kind of rode around Fort Wayne, kind of popped around to some of the pubs and kind of wet our whistle and have a good time while I was still here. Fast forward, my deployment, came back on a redeployment. We wanted to do it again. But there was something missing, and we wanted to kind of give back. And that's where we were able to kind of, I think we went to Fisher's House. It was our first time that Le Tour de Fort was able to kind of give back to our community. And then I did that for about 9 years with Le Tour de Fort. Before I took this position, I stepped away from the event planning of Le Tour de Fort, and it's still around. It's still going strong. I mean, they're raising money for service members and DAV vans, and so the Corona family has taken the reins and has done a great job with that. And so that was kind of my baby from 2009. Lived with that for a little bit. That was great. Le Tour de Fort, giving back. Fast forward to 2008 when this opportunity came about, and I haven't looked back. I haven't worked a day yet. It's my therapy to talk to service members each and every day. It's where I get a kind of, if I have to relive something or whatnot, I have a battle buddy across the street from me that we can kind of talk to, and we can relate on that level. So it's an amazing opportunity that I can kind of give that back to the community, or if it's a surviving spouse, or if it's a daughter of a veteran that no longer has mom or dad, and helping them out with their education benefits. So it's that continuing effort that I found to be a positive light. And so hopefully that answered that question from start to finish there. Yeah.
Couple questions for you. You went through a lot very quickly.
Yeah.
So active duty time again was from what year to what year?
2003 through 2006, and then again 2009 through 2010.
Okay, so you had a year off.
Yep.
Is your contract 6 years?
8-year obligation.
Okay, so you did so many active, and then you had so many inactive, correct?
Yeah.
And then that when you got called back, that was during your inactive time. Is that correct?
That's correct. So inactive ready reserve, I had about 5 years left on IRR.
Gotcha.
And we always thought that when the kind of crap hit the fan, they may call you back.
Yeah.
We never thought it was really going to happen.
Yeah.
Got the manila envelope. I went over there to the reserve base on Nutman Avenue, and I kind of found the first section sergeant I could find. I said, "What is this? What does this mean? Is this what I mean? What I really think it is?" And so those were the orders. First orders were to Afghanistan, and then during some of that training, Top came in and said they kind of got switched to Iraq.
Okay.
When I mowed back up, I think there was supposed to be 125 of us Cav Scouts that were supposed to report. About 20 of us showed up. I'm sure those other individuals had their reasons for not showing, but us 20 that did respond back, and we're thankful that we did to kind of, so I think we have some good conscience that we reported back.
E4 this time, E5, E6?
E4, and then field promotion in theater for an E5.
Okay.
So I separate as an E5.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Any issues when you came back from Iraq, or was it a more mellow deployment?
You know, me and my colleague, we kind of talked about this. I had a unique scenario where I was kind of thrown right back into civilization pretty quick. There wasn't a lot of kind of winding down and kind of going back to your platoon and kind of going through this process.
Yeah.
I went from active duty or part of this deployment right back to the civilian world. And so that was a little bit difficult. I had to find who I was, and I think going back to school was a good thing for me, where I was able to not go as a fast pace. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the easiest thing in the world. I mean, it was definitely an eye opener of what civilian life was again. It was different than when I got out in 2006, but there was some transition there. Is definitely.
So when you get out of correct me if I'm wrong, this is how it worked in the Marine Corps. When you got out of active duty, there was a transition program. Mm-hmm. We called it, it was TAPS, right? Transition. Mm-hmm. And so you had that initially when you got out of active duty, correct? But then when you got reactivated, you deployed to Iraq, you came back. Was there any kind of transition back again after that? They just kind of like sent you back to CivDiv and it was like, good luck?
Unfortunately, there wasn't. Okay. I actually hit my 8-year mark in theater. Okay. And so I was actually overextended, but my 8 years was done. So I was pretty short in my mind, and there wasn't an opportunity there. And not sure if I even really seeked it out. I think I was just kind of focused on kind of getting home at that point.
Ready to move on.
Yeah. But I do recall TAPS from active duty being in the Army down at Fort Knox, and they kind of go through that process of kind of going, green to gray, kind of going back into that society. The only thing I remember from that was go record your DD-214. I don't know how, I don't know why, but that was the only thing that I remember from way back when. And so, that was that kind of that transition. Not so much, but I was thankful that I had it previous that I can kind of fall back on kind of some of those resources out in the community.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you were out for 3 years?
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine 3 years. I mean, I think I was still in good shape. But we were drinking like crazy. That's how we started this, though. We joined together, battle buddies, got home right around the same time. We started this for different reasons. It wasn't really for a send-off. It was more, why is everybody dying? Mm-hmm. This is crazy. But I just could not, there's no way I could imagine being called back. And I mean, I was eating everything in the world. So you must have maintained, I'm assuming. I mean, you're in pretty good shape right now, but...
I don't know if I would maintain.
What were you doing? You just hang out with your friends, just working civilian job, having some beers, and then you get this letter in the mail, and it's not that you're just going back to the Army. You're going to combat now.
Yeah,
and that just seems crazy, almost scary in a way.
It was a tough pill to swallow, but I think with that military mindset, I mean, it's kind of a suck it up and drive on and adapt and overcome. So there wasn't a lot of thought of, oh man, what do I got to do? No, I got a job to do. I was thankful for the opportunity to be able to go back and serve. I mean, others didn't have the opportunity. Some didn't even show up. And so I looked at it as an opportunity where I could better myself and how am I going to make the most of it? And I grew and I learned a lot from there. I made some friends. I learned about myself during that deployment. And so there's a lot that kind of came out of it that I have to be that kind of cup half full, overflowing thought process especially when it came to that. Because I think if I would have gone down a different route, I may not have been safe to myself. I may not have been safe to my battle buddies or my individuals in my platoon. So I just kind of had to go drive on. I mean, real hard. And so there was some time there that was kind of reflecting of like, what that
just seems
just happened.
Crazy to me. I mean, it's awesome that you did that, but that is a very unique experience because, I knew when I got out, I had like 4 years left, but nobody ever gets called back. And there hasn't been, you got called back and it's to combat and it's like, and then you come back home again as if like it never happened. Just a civilian now, veteran. And then were you guys like, let's do this event again?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was planning when I was in theater, or when are we going to do it? What are we going to do? How can we get our buddies back together? And I think in 2009, it was something of 20 to 50-ish riders. And we came back, we're a couple hundred. I mean, so we're strong. And so kind of word got out that these people had fun and they're supporting for a good cause with that Le Tour de Fort. And every year it was kind of not reliving, but just kind of thinking about our time in the service and seeing some of those friendly faces that have been on the tour over years and years and years.
Yeah. I know his experiences might be different from mine, but when we started this, I mean, we had a pretty huge group that first year.
I really think our first year was probably our
and it's from all over the country.
Yeah.
And we didn't get a lot of support in the community. I think our only sponsor was a gentleman's club, and they didn't like that
weren't a sponsor.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were.
Anyway.
But we had, they were mad that we had alcohol at an event for mental health. But I still stand by this. I'm not here to fix you. I'm not a doctor. I'm just here to let you know, be you. If you're struggling, struggle with me, but we're going to ruck because our brothers and sisters that aren't here, we're going to do it for them. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck, but we're going to push through. We're going to do it. And quickly we changed it. I think one of the worst decisions we ever made, which it's for the greater good, but once we became an official nonprofit, a lot of things changed. It was no longer what did Tyler and I want to do, which ultimately it's what matters because we created this, but then it was more, political. So that made things difficult. And that was actually really hard for me to swallow because I'm like, why do I need permission to do something that I believe in that, but now I understand politics coming back into it. I'm changing the dynamics of it and we are going to take over the world. But how long were you guys doing that before you became a nonprofit? And did that, as the founder, you said the Corona family and you spoke very highly of them. So that's just because you're a better man than me. If somebody else was running FW22 that wasn't Tyler and I, inside I'd be hurting. I'd be like, right. This is we created this, and why we created this means the world to me. And by me doing this, it literally saved my life because I got to help vets, and that was helping fix my problems for a long time. But when you guys became a nonprofit, did you ever have any of those feelings, or were you just cool with it? Everything's fine, or?
Yeah, and so Vince Corona, he's my battle buddy, Vinny. We played G.I. Joes together when we were Harrison Hill, right?
Okay.
And now we got to go play G.I. Joes as adults. I mean, he went 11 Bravo, I went 19 Delta, and then we came back. So Vinny was part of Le Tour de Fort probably year 2, year 1. And so he was my right-hand man all the way up. So, we were consulting with each other and trying to figure out how are we going to do it this year. And so when Steve, his dad, and Vinny approached and said, hey, we don't want this to go away. It was stressful. And we were never a non-for-profit, still are not. And It was a lot of stress to be able to kind of create that event as a one-man show, doing all Excel spreadsheets, answering everybody's questions, over 1,000 people, and they're trying to organize a pub crawl, right?
Yep.
Stress. It was a lot on me. thinking about like I'm worrying if somebody's going to get hurt or something like that. And so a lot of that for me was, it was too much for me. It was kind of, and I think it was just time to let it lie. And the Corona said, hey, we're going to take it on and we're going to keep it going and move it forward. And they've done amazing stuff. And they're continuing to grow that brand, and with the mindset of giving back to the community, supporting our veterans that are in need, and also having a good time. I mean, that was part of our mission statement, is have a good time, support our veterans. Don't be a dummy, but be responsible.
That camaraderie is part of the event, right?
Yeah.
It was the same thing for us. Like it's about getting people together and giving them some semblance of the brotherhood that you have when you're in.
As your years go on and the bigger it gets, sometimes you have to remind those individuals why they're there. And that's something that we have to kind of tap on. And I know the Coronas still do, is kind of, hey, why are we here? We are here about the veterans. It's not to go and see where BAC is, right? We're there to support our community, go have fun, have some laughs, and live to tell about it.
Yeah.
I think our first year was by far our largest crowd. How many people, if you could guess? I know we're both bad at math, but I felt like it was a few hundred. I look at that picture that we had, but I also think, and I would say the majority of it that year was military, and obviously, suicide, it happens every year, but during that time, suicide in the military was really high. And I think camaraderie was something that active duty, but more importantly, our veterans craved. We needed it. I had people come all the way from Missouri, North Carolina, U.S., from all over.
We had dudes from Battle Creek come down.
Yeah, they needed that. And that's what literally it was like we honestly never intended for this to become what it was. We wanted to be able to drink a beer, go in a rucksack, suffer together, get some PT in, and just put away life stress and just be with your brothers and sisters. And holy crap, did this thing take off? We had people saying they were going to kill themselves. They were so happy. We had people puking on cop cars the first year as our escorts. But it became a beautiful thing. And Tyler and I if I was in my last year in the Marine Corps, never in a million years would I imagine I was going to be in Fort Wayne again, speaking at events about mental health. It was just not me. Right? I was going through my own problems and stuff afterwards, but fast forward a few years, we're literally going down to different counties in the state and speaking to units and trying to be a resource for the VA and help veterans navigate it. During COVID, we spent tens of thousands of dollars, bought brand new iPads for them and face masks, and donated to the homeless division. We just never would I thought we would do that, but we loved our city. That was our priority. That's why the first two initials are FW. We love our community, and we love our camaraderie. And then we loved, I didn't know what it was until him, but he is a huge fan of La Tour de Fort. And it was so weird when I finally met you, and then I put that connection, and I'm like, veteran, started a nonprofit. It's not a nonprofit, but started, what you guys started. Now you're helping vets. And it's like two dipshit veterans right here. Started a nonprofit out here helping vets. And I was just like, and you have a sweet mustache. So I was just like, this is cool. And believe it or not, I feel like I always come up with the good ideas, but Tyler was like, what about Joe? Do you think he'd come on? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. And of course, here we are. So
thank you again.
I know Tyler has some questions.
So transitioning into your role now.
Yep.
So you got out, you said there was a couple year gap from when you got out the second time to when you found yourself in the position that you're currently in.
Correct.
Right. So I'm assuming the gentleman that was in that position before retired and remembered you from before, from your interactions, knew you in the community. And is that kind of how he thought you would fit into that role?
Correct. So George, he was coming up on his, I think his 20th year. And then there's an individual in the office by the name of Cameron Lochner. And so he is now our district service officer in the Northeast District for the state of Indiana. He was in this role before I. So there's about a 2-year period when it kind of went George, then Cam. but Cam was stepping away, going to the state, and they're looking for a good fit. And that's when George reached out and said, I think you could be a good fit for this. Again, it was kind of out of left field. I jumped at it. And
what were you doing at the time?
I was working for Greater Fort Wayne Inc., which is now the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And I was helping out with their event planning.
Oh, okay.
And with my background with Latour de Fort and that event planning kind of is a good fit with GFW. I've retired from event planning as of today. And that was kind of that going from non-for-profit world. And really, when I was there, it was a really great experience and thinking about how do we create veteran chambers. And there are veteran chambers out there in our community to kind of give back and kind of highlight some of those organizations and businesses. But then when I got the call from George, put my name in the hat and kind of went through the application process. And many moons ago, I was with the county with community corrections and working with individuals that are co-occurring. So those individuals that had substance abuse and mental health. And some of those were veterans way back in the day. And so dealing with this population and talking about mental health each and every day was easy for me. And then coming into the role of service officer and having a mindset that it's more than just us, and we're filing these disability claims for us, but also for others, has been life-changing for me to being able to kind of sit back and assist individuals. And like, I'm a broken record here. I'm a broken record at the office, but like, I haven't worked a day yet. I mean, it's an amazing opportunity to see service members come in thinking that they don't deserve jack. And then they walk out knowing that, man, I am okay. I am entitled to this. I'm not taking it away, or I'm not greasing the wheels for something else. This is about me, and I'm able to file, and I'm getting supported. And so that's what this office gets to do. This office gets to not turn anybody away and assist with what we have. Every service member is different. Your service member is different than mine compared to the cook that had that fight in his kitchen. You know what I mean? His service was different than the fuel individual, right? And so everybody has their own story, and we get to kind of peel that back a little bit and learn about it and tell them that there's some things that we can learn more about and utilize that education, or utilize the VA healthcare center, or go to the vet center and receive some mental health treatment. I'm blown away by you, how you're able to talk about mental health. And that's what we want to do here. We want to kind of break down that stigma. I mean, we have to talk about it, right? And I tell the Joes and Janes that we can go to the garage and fix every part of our body, but we can't fix our noggin. I mean, this is where we need some assistance to be able to kind of help us out so we can help those others. And so that was that transition of kind of going into it in 2018 and today. And so we have a staff there's 2 service officers, myself and Katie Jordan, and she's prior service Army. And it's an amazing office. So we got a guy up front, he's our admin, and with Katie on board, and she's coming up on a year, and having that female perspective in the office is unreal. I mean, I think it's having that well-oiled machine with Katie, Guy, and myself. There's nothing that can be thrown at us that we can't handle. And creating an environment for service members of all walks of life can come in and feel comfortable, and being able to if they need to speak to a female, they're going to have that opportunity. If they can speak to a male, they can speak to a male. So going through those years of the Me Too movement, right? That was big for the male community in the military world, of coming out and kind of saying, hey, maybe I was affected negatively by my military service. So that just the transition from 18 to today, we've seen this roller coaster of service members and real life things coming up, and we get to be a part of it, to hear their call and to maybe make heads or tails of what they got going on, and encouraging them to continue to move forward for what they're entitled to.
So there's a lot of veterans just like him right here that have never stepped foot inside of a VSO, right? Even if I personally think they should, if there's something you could say to a veteran, what would you tell them to make them, I guess, feel better about just putting away the pride, whatever the situation is, and understanding that they serve their country honorably, right? And they have entitlements, and there's no shame in that at all. But I mean, what would you say to somebody like him to get him to come in and have an appointment with Mr. Joe?
Well, I think of my first ever section Sergeant Guzman. I mean, he told me hero is only a sandwich, right? And ever since then, I'm not trying to be the hero. I'm dropping the ego at the door and being me, right? And so with that service member that may not have ever been in this office, I kind of go back to that canned speech of why or how they're helping others by going through this process. But it's also, what do we want out of it? If we want to live the life of not utilizing the benefits, that's okay. But if you want to take advantage of it, there's opportunities here. And I sometimes look at the VBA, the Veterans Benefit Administration. They have a pot of benefits waiting for us. We have to be the ones to knock on the door. The onus goes on me and you as service members. We are the only ones that are going to do this, right? And so by us knocking on the Veterans Benefit Administration's door and sharing with them and creating this nexus is the event that happened in service, and that condition is still chronic today. If we can tell them this and the burden of proof goes on us and prove it to them, then there's some benefits. That's education for the kiddos. That's going to the VA Healthcare Center to utilize the benefits and you doing that. That could be, the laundry list is there. I could talk to my face turns blue about those benefits, but it's getting in and it's helping ourselves and helping our loved ones. I mean, that's where I would be. I mean, I would say, do you have kids?
First one's actually due here in a week.
In a week. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoy your sleep today.
Yeah. I'm trying to stock up so that when he comes, I'll be good to go.
18 years from now. And and somebody's going to be going and saying, hey, how's your college fund? Well, if you're service connected 10% or higher in the state of Indiana, you're going to be entitled to a benefit that child can go to any state school tuition free. I mean, so you could say there's $40,000 by me walking in a service officer and explaining to them what I did in the service and following the steps. And so it's just that encouragement.
Yeah.
Really, it's just telling them that they're leaving it on the table. And they're helping other individuals, and all I can do is ask for them to come in and allow me the opportunity to share with them what we're all about and what they can be about and what they can expect. And we're always going to be here. We've had service members that have no call, no show, right? And maybe they're going to call us back in a year or two, but we're here for them and we're not going anywhere. So I think that's the biggest thing is that we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here, and we want to hear your story because you have one.
Yeah, dude, you're arty, so I know your hearing sucks.
Yeah. I have been to the VA, by the way, just FYI.
That's different.
I understand it's different. Yeah. Question for you. So I know there's a plethora of benefits out there, as you so eloquently put it. Is there one specifically that you care to talk about or share about that you've seen be beneficial to a lot of veterans that maybe a lot of people don't know a lot about?
Yeah. It's that access to the VA Healthcare Center. If there's one benefit that we could receive out of all of this, it's going to the VA. 10% service connection is going to get you anything and everything besides dental. I mean, if we take a step back and think, and I talk to civilians out in the community, how they're struggling they haven't been to a doctor. They don't have the dollars to pay for that healthcare coverage. That, I think, in my personal opinion, is the best benefit that we can get. And being able to go there, I like going to the VA. I'm around individuals that have similar scenarios and similar story than I, and I like being around my veterans. There's a continuity of care that's with the VA hospital, and I can walk right into the VA ER, and that's going to be my sick call if I'm service connected. So there's a lot of things that come with that. I mean, you can all the way go down to chair jujitsu, to yoga, to acupuncture, to you name it, it's there. But it kind of goes back to that onus as you and I. We have to be the ones to knock on that door and say, how do I help myself? How do I go in there and get a workup on my sinuses because I feel I have a chronic rhinitis because of my time around in theater, and I was around particle matter and I was breathing it in, right? And so
is particle matter the official term for the burn pits?
That is the official term, particle matter for burn pits and being exposed in the PACT Act. And
that's fairly new, isn't it?
Yeah, fairly new. The PACT Act came into legislation, I believe, 2021.
21, right?
Where it's opening up a presumptive list for service members that were exposed to particle matter, and it kind of opens up the door for some benefits that we never need to go to sick call for. But if we're having that chronic post-nasal drip or whatever those definition is of rhinitis and sinusitis, we can then pivot and say, I didn't have that before I was in the military. I didn't have it when I was in garrison, but I had it when I came back from that deployment. And maybe it could be because of my time overseas. And I don't have any letters past my last name, and we're not the doctors. We're just here to kind of help that service member package up a claim that's going to be going in the right direction, so they can kind of get some good feedback. So to answer your question, VA healthcare, I think, is going to be the best one that they can get.
And speaking on the claim part, isn't it, since you're the expert here, not me, don't they have every October, that's like the fiscal year, to have it submitted by? Isn't it something like that?
So there's a form inside the VA, which is called an intent to file. The intent to file would establish your effective date. So if I filed the intent to file today, I would have an effective date of April 1st, 2024. And so I have 365 days from today to get that claim in.
Okay, so it's from the moment you file the intent to file, you have 1 year to actually get your paperwork, whatever proof you have, and have it submitted. Yeah. Otherwise, you start the process over again.
Yeah, you lose that effective date. Okay. So for an example, if we had a meeting in the office and we weren't ready to submit, we didn't have our duckies in a row, we'd push pause, we'd submit the intent to file, we give some action items to you, and then we say, all right, let's follow back up when you got those in. We'd have another appointment set up. And then if that's 2 months from now, if that's 10 months from now, then we would just make sure to get that submission in so that service member could be possibly back paid.
If people want, you have a physical location,
we
correct?
Do.
Okay. Would you mind sharing some of that? Like, is there physical location? Can they find you online? Is there a phone number? All that kind of basic information. How do people contact the VSO?
Great, because I know this audience has a reach, and so it is by state law, by the governor, says that every county needs to have a service officer. Okay. And so from in.gov, the Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs website, you can go in there and find your CVSO. And so there's a state map, and you can hover over any county, and then that will pull up your county. And so we're located at downtown Fort Wayne at the Edwin Rousseau Center, 1 East Main Street, room 106. Okay. Same place where Allen County residents pay their property taxes, the recorder's office, assessor's office. So we're kind of right down there on the first floor.
Gotcha.
And we're there to serve anybody from outside of county lines to outside of state lines. We're not going to turn anybody away.
So you can help even though you're the veteran service officer for Allen County, that's not, you can't just help veterans in Allen County. You can help any veteran. Is that correct?
Any veteran that walks through the door. Okay. Now, I may share with them that, hey, I would hate for you to drive all the way down from Avila when you have one right in your county. And maybe they have business in Allen County. And we want those service members to know that they have their local veteran service officers right there in their backyard. Utilize it. But this office doesn't turn away, and we'll a little bit larger office with. We have 22,000 veterans in Allen County with the VA hospital, so sometimes we do get that a little bit overflow.
Gotcha.
Just to give you some context, I don't know what the final result was because it's none of my business, but I had some business partners from Canada whose home office was in Hawaii, and one of their employees was a veteran from New York going through some stuff, and I was just like, I'm just going to give you Joe's number. So I sent somebody from Canada living in Hawaii helping a vet in New York to Joe. Don't know what became of it. I'm on a need to know basis, but I don't care where you're from. I'm sending you to Joe. He's here for you. So
I'm sure he really appreciates.
I appreciate that, and
I send him every
day. The office has big shoes to fill. So with George Darbo, he had a big impact in our community and touched a lot of lives. So I thank you for the kind words, and we've been able to. I think I have somebody and a couple of people in Germany that their dad is from Fort Wayne, and that we helped. And he told his son, or actually in one of these scenarios, it was vice versa. The son was telling his dad, who was in Fort Wayne, to come down to the office. So we have a reach, but we always let them know that they have somebody local. And again, we're not going to turn away.
Gotcha. You said you yourself, like your offices, handles 22,000 veterans. Is that correct?
The Allen County has 22,000 veterans in Allen County.
Understood.
And so that, I mean, you could say we're the third largest veteran population in the state of Indiana. And so it's going to go Marion, Lake, and then Allen County.
Marion Lake both being Indy counties.
Marion is Indy. Lake is up by Chicago. So you're kind of have that overflow of Cook County into Lake County. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So those are the three large service offices in the state.
Okay. Understood. Do you still participate in Le Tour de Fort at all?
Oh yeah. I've been, is it our 10th year? Maybe 9th year. So I haven't missed a year yet. Vinny will consider, he references me as the godfather of Le Tour de Fort. Okay. I mean, we started in my sister's driveway in Southwood Park. And that was kind of our first starting spot all the way to, we've kind of started other places. So yeah, any chance I get to jump on a bike and ride around and kind of visit some of our local establishments, I will take advantage of it.
Was Slow Ride, was that your idea or was that somebody else's idea?
Slow Ride, tell me more.
Like whenever they start, they always play Slow Ride to kick off the event.
Vinny. Actually, let me take that back. I think that's our audio. I think that's Jay Hipskin. I'll give him a shout out.
Okay.
I think he's kind of helped out with some of the audio and all
I didn't
that
know
stuff.
if that was like something that you guys kicked off on the first one that's just carried over.
No, the only thing that we have kept in play is Whitney Houston's national anthem for the Super Bowl. So that will be the only national anthem that we play.
Okay,
that was a banger.
Do you do the, what is it? Is this the Roots tour? Where they do the West Central neighborhood? Right?
07. So we're kind of we're over there in Southwood Park. This is kind of where Le Tour de Fort originated, kind of over there by Foster Park, and so that's the Roots tour. And most often I'll try to attend those over there at the 07 kind of. I mean, when we first started, we ended at Tubby's. Tubby's is now the 07. So way back in the day before 07 was around, you had Tubby's and
Chevy's probably was one of these.
No, that's a little bit too far out of we're kind of limited where our pedal bikes go.
Historic Oakdale area, right?
Yeah, that's kind of Oakdale's in 07.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's right where my sister lives.
Neighborhood, yeah.
They got a new pub coming up.
Yeah, they keep sending me pictures about it. I thought it was a hotel.
Packard Taps.
And they're redoing that Billy's Dugout place.
That's Packard Taps.
Okay.
Yep.
So they got two new things coming, yeah.
That's across the street from where the burger place is, right?
Brava's. The old Casa D'Angelo. You got Zeb's Chicken Shack.
Zeb's is delicious, by the way.
The one time I ever went to the Dugout was when I was waiting for my burger at Brava's, and I was like, wow, this place is a dive.
I'm sad to say that I never made it over to the Dugout, but I'll try to make over to Packard Pub.
My daughter used to practice there for her travel softball, and I was like, why is this right next to this place? Mm-hmm. It was not a sight for me, but I'm happy that she's not in softball anymore. So
you got to do Le Tour de Fort some year.
I have. Well, I've never done it, but it sounds crazy. I think the only thing I did after the Marine Corps I did in the Marines was drink. Mm-hmm. I stopped shooting guns. I stopped being fit and active. I just wanted no memory of it. Now I've gotten into a healthier lifestyle. I would love to not just be part of Le Tour de Fort. I'd love to partner with them because obviously you're passionate about it. So therefore I'm going to be passionate about it. But I would definitely love to reach out to the Coronas and be like, hey, we have a mutual friend. You call him Godfather. I call him Daddy Joe. But can we, what's going on?
I think you should most definitely take advantage of that and see what can come about.
Yeah. And I'd love to do something with them.
I do want to be clear. Le Tour de Fort there's physical activity, but it is not a physical fitness event.
You're riding a bicycle and having a beer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a Peloton now, so
there you go. I don't know if that's street legal, but
no, but I can still drink beer.
It's true.
I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm and I pedal for an hour. It's great.
There you go.
So I should be good for a Tour de Fort. I'm excited.
Joe, what's the most, if you're willing to share, and I don't know how much you can, the most rewarding experience you've had helping a veteran? It doesn't have to be
a good question,
as a VSO. It could be a veteran that you helped when you were in, a junior soldier, anything, if there's an instance that if you don't want to share, that's fine too, but I just would want to give you an opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot. I can think of one instance where we had a service member, and he maybe the streets were his friend, and he kind of came in as a walk-in and just tried to understand how we can help him. Come to find out, he had a service connection of 10% all the way back from, I think, 1972, that he never received $1 from it. And we're able to alert the VA that this veteran is alive and able to receive that check, and it was increased. And I think that service member was able to have a back pay of since 1972 at a much higher rating. And I think that I haven't seen him since.
Yeah.
And I think he was a frequent individual on our streets, and I think that really changed his life. And just by being able to walk in, and he had no idea what he was trying to accomplish, and I had no idea what he was trying to accomplish. But just having that open conversation of learning about that veteran and being able to be an impact. It's just small, just making a call and maybe being that one individual that says, I'm not going to take no for an answer. Let's keep on digging at this. How can we put on a different hat to see if we can get you a benefit, or see if there's something that may be available for you? So I think of that one individual. I think a lot of the surviving spouses that lost their service member due to a service-connected disability, and their life has been put upside down. And maybe that service member was a big part of their life and kind of managing a lot of things, and now they don't have anybody to turn to, and utilizing some of the benefits that they can get through dependency indemnity compensation to help them continue on with their life. I think that's another big one. It's the veterans that are important, but it's also the ones that have followed them and that also serve by just being a spouse. So I think those are kind of two categories I'd probably stick with the most, that we've been just some of those impactful opportunities for me.
Awesome.
Basically, what I'm getting out of this whole conversation is I'm excited for you to make an appointment, walk on in there, and then tell me you did it.
What did you say? The reason why you went to the VSO initially?
Yeah, to record my DD214.
I have not done that, so I'll be coming and seeing
you. And then you can go to the recorder's office too, right?
So we would, the office would verify that it's an original document, and we would take it over to the recorder's office, and then that would be recorded, and then that would be a protected document.
Like, I got to bring you my original DD214?
Yep. If you want that recorded. And
what if I don't have my original DD214?
And that's okay. We can still service you, but we can't record a copy of of that. But we'll still bring you in and assist you. And we can even tell you how you can go back and get an original copy from the archives.
Okay.
And so there's no question that we can't, at least if we don't have the answer, just like going to boards, if we don't have the answer, we'll find somebody that does, right?
Gotcha. But
I would be encouraged for you to come in and kind of learn a little bit more. And I think it could help you in your life, and help you in talking to your battle buddies. And sometimes service members would leave our office and they say, so what can I do for you? What can I do? Can I do X? Can I do Y? And I think the biggest thing that we ask is, if you talk to a service member and they don't know about their benefits, they're kind of in the wrong. I mean, we want them to be encouraged to go learn about them. Go call somebody you feel comfortable and confident in. Whoever that may be, learn about those benefits so you can then better yourself, and then in turn, better that next Joe or Jane that you meet. I mean, there's not a big enough mountain that Katie and I can't be on to talk about why we need service members to learn about their benefits. But if we can instill that into each and every service member that comes to the office, then maybe we can kind of have all those touches.
With the DD214, probably the member 4 copy.
Correct.
Is that not the ones the VA can get you on the 5th floor?
If you are enrolled in the VA, then the VA may have a copy of that.
Okay.
And so there's sometimes service members have never even scratched the surface. And so we're really kind of being at the bottom of the barrel. We would have to kind of reach out to archives.
I would go to the 5th floor of the VA and tell me you want the member 4 copy.
Yep.
And you'd be good to go.
And so we would just encourage any service member that's looking to sit down with the office to give us a call. We want to get you on our calendar. We want to give veterans their undivided attention. We're always going to have walk-ins, but I would hate for it to be a walk-in and then I can't sit down and really give it our all. And so that just kind of allows us to do just that. So kind of getting on that calendar, that And then we can have those conversations, and they're sometimes tough conversations. But as a VSO and being prior service, that's the only way you can do the job as a veteran service officer. But being able to have that same conversation, we have similar background, and we may have some of the same lingo, and we can kind of cut to the chase on some things, maybe easier than somebody in the civilian world would be talking to a service member, and that's just from my perspective.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So just to be clear, you guys do prefer people make appointments before they come in to see you guys. You accept walk-ins, but appointments are preferred.
Yeah, and we typically do appointments at 10, 11, 2, and 3 Monday through Friday.
Okay.
And so we could be a pretty busy day, but we don't want to turn them away, and we would get their information and seeing how we can help. But we have Guys, our admin, and he can also assist with some of those general questions. And when you give us a call, anybody that picks up is going to be able to assist. Doesn't have to be Joe, or it doesn't have to be Katie. We want you to ask your question so we can get it answered as fast as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'll be coming in and seeing you.
Please do.
See, if there was anything that was worth,
yeah, you got one. You got one.
No, that makes me happy. No, I encourage all the veterans to do it. You know, so many vets they have that stigma where they hate the VA, they hate this and all that. But it's like all you have. It's all you have, and it's yours. Why not, instead of going off of other people's opinions, just go get your own opinion? And I love pushing people to you guys, because you guys are. I mean, everything that I did with you guys was so easy. You were on it. It was professional, step by step, no pressure. Because at the end of the day, it's up to me. You can guide me, but it's up to me. And so it was just easy. So
you're the one that has to go to the appointments.
Yep.
Right. And so sometimes service members will come in the office, and we kind of have to remind them, like, you came to us to talk about your military service. So let's talk. Let's again, broken record. Let's peel it back. What'd you go to sick call for? What's still hurting you that you went into the military? Like, I joined the Army as 100% tip-top shape. When I got out of the Army, I was no longer 100%. And I can go back and kind of look at those times that I didn't want to go to sick call. Maybe I was forced to go to sick call. And if that condition is still chronic today, that's what we need. That's what we can stick our teeth into to articulate to that veteran that they are deserving of this benefit. With that being said, of being like, your ankle is ate up because you rolled it on the flight line. Your ankle wouldn't be ate up if you didn't join the Air Force, right? And so just kind of installing that in them and making it that the service member also has that buy-in goes a long way. And they're in the driver's seat, and we're just helping them out.
It makes me happy that he admitted he's stubborn. The last episode that we recorded, by the way, he was like, "Oh, I just don't feel good," and it had been like that for 3 weeks. 48 hours later, he's in the ER getting surgery because he had a tear in his appendix. He was in the hospital for 5 days. So I'm like, bro, what is your deal? So the fact that he said he's going to go, it's on camera. You heard it. I heard it. He wouldn't lie to me. It's go time.
I'm going to go.
And I'll speak for myself again. I'm a veteran. I'm stubborn. I mean, that's just it's sometimes in our nature of kind of what it is. And so that's kind of what we are expecting. And that's okay. I mean, that just allow us to kind of give us the opportunity to share a little bit about it. And I think we can kind of make ends meet.
Well,
you got anything for closing?
I'm very, very grateful you decided to come out. I'm really glad we could get this information out.
Yeah.
And it's awesome getting to know you and meet you a little bit more.
That.
So
I appreciate that.
Well, again, thank you. Like he just said, it means a lot. I will be at La Torta Fort. Tyler, you'll have to tell me when.
I can't go this year.
But I can.
I'll have a newborn. Yeah, you're gonna have to enjoy it for Melissa and I.
I absolutely will.
So that was like some background real quick. La Tour de Fort was actually like the first big I don't know. I wouldn't say it's our first date, but that was like along the lines. It was very early in my wife and I's relationship, and that kind of solidified part of our relationship. So we've been
She was okay to be out in public with you.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we've gone like every year since we've been together, and then this is our first year where we're not going to be able to go because we'll have a newborn. So
you can always come to the pre-party and hang out.
Yeah, we might just do that.
Yeah. He would want you to.
No, thanks for joining all those years, and it did go a long way. And I'm glad you enjoy the event. It's a lot of fun.
I love it, man. We love it.
It's a blast.
When you say this is going to be your 10th year?
Ooh, doing math in public. I think this is like 9th or 10th year.
This is our 10th year, right?
Sure. I trust
2000
you. I trust you.
Well, I hope so. The flyer says 10th annual hike, so I hope it's the 10th year.
No, I think we're coming closer to 14 or 15 now I think about it. It's 2009.
Because that makes me feel better, because I'm terrible at math. And when you said that, I'm like, but this is our 10th year, and we were in 14.
Around that time frame. I don't think it's 15 yet.
Okay. Either way, it's phenomenal, though. It's hard. I know you said you guys aren't a nonprofit, but it is hard to keep something like that going that long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been hard for us to keep this going. We just got new life, and so I'm ready for another 10 years, but it was not easy.
No.
And what's even worse is not only are you struggling internally, but you have to be proud externally for those struggling emotionally in the community. So it's like all the stress, the juggling, the event coordination, the finances. It's just like, but we're doing it. It's because we're maniacs and it's our passion. So I greatly appreciate you being here. Good. I definitely would like to team up, not just with Latour de Fort, but with the VSO, because one team, one fight is our mission. And yeah, if you don't have anything closing.
No, I just want to say thanks for what you guys do. And I kind of look at our peers that we may not be going to VFWs and Legions and some of our previous service members did in the past. But we have organizations like this that kind of get us out there, that get us engaged. And we may not be at the VFW, but we have these opportunities to kind of give back, get veterans together, be pro-social, letting them know that there's help that's out there. So I love what you guys do and keep up the good work. And however we can be partners, we want to be. And just thank you for what you guys are up to. So I appreciate y'all.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in again. Zero F-bombs were dropped this episode. That is a record.
Yeah.
I think we're taking a little bit of a break in between episodes now. Someone's getting ready to have a baby. FW22, nothing special with us. We got new swag. Next Thursday, we'll be at the 40 Under 40 award ceremony and getting our nice little trophy or whatever it is. And lots of great things happening. Cannot wait to tell you all. And we'll see you all next time.